I walked in my in-laws' kitchen and heard my wife say she was pregnant with her boss's baby. That's the sentence that split my life down the middle. No greeting. No, you're home. No soft holiday, music swelling in the background like some cheap movie. Just a blade straight through the ribs, delivered in a voice that sounded happy, like she was telling them she got a promotion or found a perfect apartment. Like nothing was wrong. I had come home early from Abu Dhabi. 14 hours wedged into an airplane seat, dry eyes, stale coffee, the taste of recycled air still stuck in my throat. I was exhausted in that bone-deep way you get after months of living out of a suitcase. I was also carrying a gift bag in my hand, something I'd hunted down in a crowded gold market, thinking about her the whole time. A bracelet, simple and bright, the kind of thing she liked. I bought it because I pictured her face when she opened it. I bought it because I believed the story I'd been telling myself for 3 months, that I was grinding through hell for us. The front door of her parents' house wasn't locked. It never was on holidays. Family shouldn't have to knock, her dad always said. I had walked in quietly, not to sneak, just because everyone was probably busy in the kitchen and I didn't want to announce myself like a delivery guy. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine. There was laughter somewhere down the hall. I remember thinking, 10 steps from the kitchen, that I was about to make their Christmas better. I'd imagine it on the flight. Me showing up a day early, my wife, Maya, turning around, surprised, maybe tearing up, wrapping her arms around me like she used to. Her mom would fuss. Her dad would clap me on the back, and someone would say something about us finally starting a family in the new year. I had built that little scene in my head so many times it felt like memory. Then I heard her voice. I'm pregnant. I actually smiled. That's the part that puts a bitter taste in my mouth now, but it's true. I smiled in that narrow hallway like an idiot holding a gift bag. My chest went light. My eyes stung. 7 years of marriage, 3 months apart, and I thought, finally, this is her moment. Her mother gasped. Oh my God, Maya. Does Ethan know? That was my cue. I took a step forward, already ready to round the corner, already seeing my own face, surprised, proud, maybe laughing through tears. I was going to walk in and say her name, and the whole house would tilt into a different future. But Maya let out a laugh that wasn't her normal laugh. It was a little higher, a little sharper. A laugh that didn't belong in my scene. No, she said. It's not Ethan's. Everything in me paused, like a video that suddenly freezes. I didn't step forward. I didn't pull back. I just stopped. It's Adrian's. My boss. The hallway didn't move. The floor didn't fall out from under me. Nothing dramatic happened around me at all. The house stayed warm. The lights stayed twinkly. Somewhere a timer beeped for cookies in the oven. I was the one who disappeared. I stood there with that gift bag in my hand, and I felt my body go cold in a way I didn't know it could. Not shivering cold, hollow cold. Like someone pulled all the air out of me, and I hadn't noticed yet. Her mother's voice sank low. Maya, what are you saying? Maya exhaled like she'd been holding something in for months. Like the hard part was finally done. We've been together about 6 months. Since August. 6 months. August was our anniversary month. 7 years. I had taken her to a steakhouse by the river, a white tablecloth place I'd been saving for. She'd held my hand across the table, looked me in the eye, and told me she was lucky to be my wife. 2 weeks later, apparently, she had started another life. I love him, Mom, Maya continued. Adrian makes me feel alive. Alive. Like I was the reason she wasn't. Like the life we built together was some kind of quiet room she needed to escape. Her father spoke carefully, slow like he was walking on ice. What about Ethan? He's a good man. He loves you. I know he's a good man. Maya said it flatly, like she was listing features on a brochure. Then she happened to say the thing that made my stomach twist into something tight and metallic. But Ethan is safe. He's reliable. He'll take it well. He always does. He'll be okay. Safe. Reliable. The words landed like labels on a box someone keeps because it still works, even though they don't want it in their living room anymore. Useful. Not loved. Then she laid out the plan, like she'd already rehearsed it. I'll tell him after Christmas. I don't want to ruin his holiday. Adrian's leaving his marriage too. We'll find a place. Start fresh. Do this right. Do this right. My marriage turned into a bullet list. a timeline with neat little milestones. You could almost hear her mentally checking items off. Tell Ethan, move out, new apartment, new baby, new life. And there I was in the hallway, learning that I was a step she intended to handle once the lights came down and the wrapping paper was in the trash. I kept listening because my body forgot how to move. She added something else, almost casually. We haven't been close since July anyway. July, the month before our anniversary dinner. The month before the hotel confirmation, she was probably already booking while I was explaining my Abu Dhabi schedule. Suddenly little things rearranged themselves in my head like magnets, snapping into place. The late nights, she brushed off as meetings. The girls' weekends downtown. The new lingerie I never saw again. The way she'd started sleeping with her phone face down and taking it into the bathroom. I'd written it off as stress, as work, as the natural drift of two adults navigating life. I trusted her because I thought trust was what you built stability on. Standing there, I realized I hadn't been blindsided in a single moment. I had been blind for months. At some point, my survival instinct kicked in. I didn't storm into the kitchen. I didn't make any noise at all. I did the quietest thing I've ever done. I took one slow step backward, then another. Their voices faded as I retreated down the hallway past the framed family photos, past the wooden sign that said, "Bless this home." I remember that sign because I'd hung it for them one Thanksgiving, laughing while her dad joked about my crooked nails. The front door was still cracked open from when I came in. I slipped out and pulled it shut behind me. The latch clicked softly. To me, it sounded like a casket closing. Outside, snow was drifting down harder now. The porch lights blinked red and green. A wreath on the door said joy to all who enter. I stood there breathing steam into the cold night. Holding a gift I suddenly didn't know what to do with, feeling nothing and too much at the same time. I could have gone back in. I could have thrown the truth like a grenade into that kitchen and watched everyone scramble. But one thought cut through everything else, cold and clear. She's been planning this for 6 months. You just found out tonight. So no, not yet. I wasn't going to give her a scene she could point at later and call proof that I was unstable, dramatic, the reason she left. I wasn't going to hand her a story that let her be the victim of my reaction. I walked down the steps, put the gift in my trunk like it was something dangerous, and slid into the driver's seat. Snow started to build up on my windshield, turning the house behind me into a blurry glow. From the outside, it probably looked peaceful. Inside the car, it felt like a grave. My phone buzzed on the console. "Maya, so excited to see you tonight, babe. Dad opened the good scotch. Hurry." Another message right after. "Love you so much. Can't wait to have you home." Same words, same woman, same screen I'd stared at from the other side of the world for months. But now those sentences sounded double-layered, like a song you suddenly hear the dark lyrics of. My thumbs hovered over the screen. I could have replied with one line that blew everything up. Instead, I locked the phone and dropped it face down on the passenger seat. No answer, no fight, no clue. I didn't need a conversation. I needed something else entirely. As I pulled away from the curb, one thought rose above the shock, above the snow, above the distant glow of her parents' house. I don't need answers from her tonight. I need a lawyer. I don't remember the drive. Just snow, red lights, and that sentence looping in my head until it stopped sounding like language. By the time I pulled into our driveway, the neighborhood was asleep. The house looked the same as always. Porch light wreath, our little evergreen wrapped in crooked bulbs. I should have felt relief. Instead, it felt like walking onto a set after everyone else had gone home. Inside, everything was normal in the cruelest way. Wedding photo by the stairs. The couch where we ate takeout and argued about movie endings. The puzzle on the kitchen table Maya had left half finished. Nothing shouted, "Your marriage is over." The silence made it worse. I set my suitcase down and stood there until one cold thought surfaced. I need help. Not answers. Help. I called Ryan. He picked up on the second ring. "Ethan, thought you were still overseas." "Ryan, I need a divorce lawyer." "The best you know." The air changed on his end. "What happened?" "She's pregnant." "It's not mine." A beat. Then, "Okay, we don't panic. We get you protected." Ryan spoke like a man reading a checklist. "Do not confront her. Not tonight. Courts don't care about why. They care about what you can prove. He told me to check everything: email, cloud, bank accounts, credit cards, phone records. If this has been going on for months, there's a trail. You're not snooping. You're documenting. Feels dirty. What she did is dirty. You're gathering facts. Document everything before she knows you know. That line snapped me into work mode. My job is timelines and failure points. So I made coffee, went into the home office, and sat at the family computer, the one we use for taxes and bills. Neutral ground, I used to think. Tonight it felt like a witness. I knew Maya's password. Years ago she laughed. We're married. What I have to hide? I logged in and typed August into the search bar. At first, nothing. Then a subject line jumped out. Reservation confirmation. Harbor View Plaza Hotel. Date, August 15th. That was the night she told me she was with friends. I opened it. King room. 2 guests. Late checkout. Next tab. An expense report marked client dinner. 2 entrees. 1 dessert. A bottle of wine that cost more than our weekly groceries. Coincidence turned into pattern. I took screenshots, downloaded PDFs, and dropped them into a new folder on my external drive. I named it evidence. Short and clinical. Emails were bad. The messages were worse. We linked our phones to a shared cloud account years ago for photos and backups. I signed in and scrolled. There was a thread labeled Only A. Hundreds of messages, most deleted from her phone, but preserved here. Hotel addresses. Private jokes. Working late, nights explained in real time. Then I hit the line that emptied me. After your Abu Dhabi project, it's easier when he's gone. All the times she'd push me to take that assignment weren't support. They were strategy. She wanted me out of the house because it made this easier. I exported the thread, saved it twice, and backed it up to a private storage account she didn't know existed. I didn't care what it was called, as long as it was safe. By 11:47 p.m., I was done. I packed a bag, clothes, toiletries, laptop to drive. I didn't want to be home when she walked in and acted like we were fine. I drove to a plain business hotel near the airport. Beige lobby, beige hallways, a room you forget by morning. I checked in under my own name and set my bag on the bed. I opened the laptop. Evidence stared back. Reservations, receipts, transfers, messages stacked in order like a structural failure file. For hours I'd been in engineer mode, organize, label, preserve. Sitting there with nothing left to do, the human part caught up. My phone lit up while I was still staring at the folder. 3 messages from Maya, stacked like nothing had changed. You okay? Mom says you'll be here tomorrow. Miss you. I watched the screen dim and light back up like it was begging me to keep pretending. Those were the same lines I'd carried across oceans for months. Now, they sounded like lines she could say to anyone. I didn't reply. I powered the phone off and slid it into the nightstand drawer, like locking away a live wire. If she wanted to talk, she could do it later through lawyers. I hadn't cried in years. That night I did, quietly and hard, until my body ran out of fuel. When it stopped, I felt hollow, not better. Around 3 a.m., I opened a new tab. Denver divorce lawyer. Dozens of polished ads. I scrolled past most of them until one name kept showing up in reviews about high-conflict cases. Lena Ward. People called her sharp when needed, fair when it mattered. I opened a new email, wrote the short version. 7-year marriage, pregnant wife, affair with her boss, digital evidence, and attached a few files. I hit send at 3:17 a.m. I didn't expect a reply. At 7:02 a.m., my inbox pinged. Be at my office at 10 a.m. Bring everything. For the first time since that hallway, I didn't feel completely alone. Lena Ward's office sat on a high floor downtown, all glass and steel and quiet confidence. The kind of place that doesn't need to advertise how expensive it is. You just feel it the second the elevator doors open. She met me at the door with a firm handshake and eyes that didn't waste time pretending to be soft. Mid-40s, dark hair tied back, suit that fit like armor. Mr. Carter, she said. Sit. Show me what you have. I opened my laptop, slid the drive across her desk, and walked her through everything. The hallway. The pregnancy. Adrian's name said like a victory. The hotel confirmations. The messages. The money. I didn't tell it like a broken man. I told it like a timeline, point by point, because that's how my brain survives disasters. Lena listened without interrupting, jotting notes. Her face barely moved. Not cold, focused, like she'd seen this kind of collapse before and knew where the load-bearing beams really were. When I finished, she set her pen down. Okay, here's where you stand. She didn't sugarcoat. Colorado is a no-fault state. The court won't punish her for cheating just because it's morally ugly. But money spent on the affair can matter. And the pregnancy matters a lot. I blinked. Ow! The law assumes you're the father. Until we prove otherwise, that child is legally yours. We're going to change that. We'll request DNA testing as soon as possible. I hadn't even thought that far. The idea that my name could be attached to a baby that wasn't mine made my throat go tight. Lena leaned back slightly. This isn't about revenge. Revenge is loud and messy and expensive. This is about protecting yourself. Can I do both? I asked before I could stop myself. A corner of her mouth lifted, the smallest trace of smile. Sometimes protection looks a lot like revenge from the outside. Then her tone sharpened again. You cannot confront her yet. I felt my hands curl on my knees. Why not? Because she's been planning this for 6 months. You've had one night. She's ahead of you emotionally, financially, and legally. If you walk in there and explode, she gets to rewrite the story and you lose leverage. So what do? I asked. You go home, she said, and you act normal. The word scraped my skin. Normal. Like I hadn't just watched my life burn down. You smile. You hug. You eat Christmas dinner. All while we file. On December 26th, she gets served before she has a chance to spin a narrative or hide more assets. I stared at the desk, picturing myself walking through her front door, looking in her face, knowing what I knew. My whole body tried to reject the idea. Lena didn't flinch. You can hate the plan and still follow it. A controlled demolition is safer than a collapse. That metaphor landed because it spoke my language. You don't swing a hammer or structure without a blueprint unless you want the whole thing to come down on you. I signed the documents, gave her authority to move, paid the retainer without looking at the number. Walking out, I still hurt. That didn't change, but the hurt had a direction now. It wasn't just a hole. It was a path. By the time I pulled into the driveway, daylight was hard and bright. The house looked innocent. It almost offended me. I barely got the key in the lock before the door yanked open. Maya flew at me like a storm, arms around my neck, laughing and crying at the same time. You're home, she said into my shoulder. You're finally home. My body wrapped around her out of habit. 7 years of muscle memory. My mind replayed her voice from that kitchen. It's Adrian's. She kissed my cheek, then my mouth like nothing in the world had shifted. I missed you so much. You have no idea. I did have some idea. I had about 6 months worth. But I smiled. I held the line. Because now the marriage wasn't a feeling, it was a chessboard. I set my bag down and went into the kitchen. If I was going to play the role, I'd play it well. I made her favorite dish, lemon chicken with pasta, the one I learned for her birthday years ago. She hovered behind me, talking about Christmas plans, who had called, how her parents were excited to see me later. We ate at the counter, shoulder to shoulder, like a normal couple. She took a bite, closed her eyes. This is perfect, she said. There was a time those words would have filled me up. Now, they felt like a performance she didn't know I could see through. That night we did what we always did during holiday week. A movie, blankets, the tree lights reflecting off the windows. She curled into me on the couch, head on my shoulder, fingers absent-mindedly twisting my wedding ring. It used to calm me. Tonight it made my skin crawl. Halfway through the movie, she tilted her head, smile low and familiar. Maybe we should go to bed early. For a second, my body almost went on autopilot. Then my brain threw a picture at me I couldn't swallow. The hotel confirmation, the messages, her laugh in the hallway. I'm wiped, I said. Jet lag's killing me. Can we just sleep? Her face flickered, disappointment for half a heartbeat. Then she smoothed it over like she always did. Of course. Come on. She fell asleep quickly, back pressed into my chest, breathing slow and steady. She slept like someone with nothing to hide. I stared at the ceiling until morning, counting down the days without counting them out loud. Christmas Eve came fast. She was bright, chatty, humming while she pulled on flannel pajamas. She kissed my neck while I made coffee. Mom wants us there early, she said. Let's bake cookies to bring over. So we stood side by side rolling dough, cutting shapes, dusting red and green sprinkles over them. From the outside, we looked like a magazine cover. Inside, I felt like I was walking through someone else's life. At her parents' house, the show kept going. Her mother fussed over the cookies. Her father handed me a drink. Christmas music played low. Everyone smiled at me like I wasn't standing in the middle of a lie. At one point, her mom pulled me aside near the sink, almost whispering the way women do when they want a secret to feel sweeter. She's glowing lately, she said, eyes shining. I think she has big news for you soon. Something in me hardened so cleanly it surprised me. I'm sure she does, I said. Her father clapped my shoulder later. Marriage is about weathering storms, son. Don't forget that. He said it like I was the storm that might come, like they weren't the ones tying me to the tracks. I nodded. I'm looking forward to what's coming. He heard hope. I meant paperwork. Driving home, snow fell light and pretty. Street lights made everything soft. She turned the radio down and glanced at me at a red light. I love you, she said quietly. You know that, right? For years that sentence was home. This time it floated between us like a decoration with no weight behind it. I know. I answered automatically. And the second I said I understood, I didn't know anything anymore. Christmas Day itself was a blur of routine. Coffee, gifts, calls to family. I handed her the bracelet I bought abroad. She gasped and hugged me. It's beautiful, she said. I'll wear it all the time. All I could think was how easily words can be used when someone believes you. That night, as we brushed our teeth and climbed into bed, she tried again, soft voice, playful. You sure you're not up for anything more? You've been gone so long. I'm still adjusting, I said. Can we just sleep? She nodded, tucked herself into me, and drifted off. When her breathing evened out, I stared into the dark and felt the date sitting on my chest like a stone. December 26th. Tomorrow morning the play ends. Tomorrow morning, she learns that for once, I wasn't the only one standing in the hallway not knowing what was coming. December 26th didn't feel like revenge. It felt like maintenance, like shutting off a gas line before the whole block goes up. I woke up early, made coffee in the same chipped Christmas mug Maya loved, and waited at the kitchen table like it was any other day off. My phone stayed face down. Lena had said 9 a.m. sharp. I believed her. Maya came out half asleep in her robe, hair a mess, eyes soft. She poured coffee and sat across from me like nothing had happened. What do you want to do today? She asked. Maybe mountains? That diner you like. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. She frowned. Who comes this early? I'll get it. On the porch stood a woman in business clothes holding a clipboard and a thick envelope. Neutral face. Practiced voice. Is this the Carter residence? Yes. Is Maya Carter home? Maya stepped behind me, mug in hand. I'm Maya. The woman handed her the envelope. You've been served. Have a good day. No thunder. No yelling. Just paper switching hands. Maya stared down at it like it was a prank. Her fingers clenched. What is this? Open it, I said. She tore the top, skimmed the first page, and her mouth went slack. Petition for dissolution of marriage, she whispered. She looked up at me, blinking hard. Ethan, what is this? Why? There was the reflex to gather control, the confused act, the attempt to pull me back into a conversation where she could steer the ending. I stepped closer, kept my voice low. You're pregnant, I said, with Adrian's baby, not mine. I know. Her face drained so fast it scared even me. I didn't let the silence grow into a place she could hide. I came to your parents' house on Christmas Eve. I heard everything. 6 months. Since August. Your plan to tell me after Christmas. I'm safe. Reliable. I take it well. Her lips moved, no sound. I also know about the hotel receipts, the messages, the hidden credit card, the transfers. All of it. That's when her knees folded. She dropped onto the couch like her body quit without permission. The papers slid from her hands onto the floor. I was going to tell you, she sobbed. After Christmas. I didn't want to ruin. Yeah, I said. I heard that part too. She reached for me like she could grab the past by my wrist. Please, don't do this. We can talk. Counseling. We can fix. I made a mistake. No, I said calmly. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. This was a chain of choices. For months. I love you, she said, voice cracking. I felt almost nothing hearing it. That truth hurt in its own way. You love what I provided, I said. The house, the stability, the picture of us. That's not the same as loving me. I picked up my keys. My stuff is already mostly out. I'll come back with movers for the rest. You can stay here until then. Her panic rose sharp. Ethan, please. I opened the door, paused, gave her one line I needed to say for myself, not for her. I hope Adrian feels alive at 3 in the morning when the baby's crying and there's no one left to carry the weight. Then I left. Ryan and Claire didn't ask questions when I showed up. They just handed me a beer, made the guest bed, and let me breathe without turning my pain into a story for them to consume. It was the first kindness I could actually feel. Maya called nonstop, begging first, then bargaining, then anger. I turned my phone off. If she wanted contact, she had Lena. The hearing came quickly. Lena moved fast, holiday or not. In court, Maya's lawyer tried to blur everything into distance and stress and drift. Lena didn't argue feelings. She laid out facts, statements, reservations, transfers, dates, numbers. She didn't need to raise her voice. The paper did it for her. The judge froze our joint accounts and gave me temporary control over most assets. Maya sat shaking. Her parents behind her looked stunned, like they just watched a wall fall and realized they were standing in the debris too. Outside, her father stopped me in the parking lot. She made a mistake, he said quietly. People make mistakes. No, I said, forgetfulness is a mistake. This was 6 months of decisions. Her mother rushed up, eyes red. 7 years, Ethan. You're really throwing it away. I looked at her and felt something steady in my chest. I'm not throwing anything away. She did, one lie at a time. I'm just cleaning up. They didn't answer. I walked to my truck, knowing the role I played for their family was over too. A few weeks later, I started hearing what happened at work. Adrian's wife filed for divorce and went to HR with receipts. Sleeping with a subordinate wasn't just ugly. It was a policy violation. By the end of the quarter, he was gone. Maya didn't lose her job, but she lost the shine. Moved departments. New floor. Same whispers. Months after that, she waited by my truck, belly obvious now, eyes exhausted. She told me Adrian was out of the picture. No job. No interest in being a father. She said she missed me, that we could fix us. Then she crossed a line I didn't know existed until I heard it. After the baby's born, I could give her up. We could start fresh. I stepped back. You're willing to erase your own child to make your life easier. Whatever pity I'd left died right there. Don't come here again, I said. Talk to the lawyers. The divorce ended with signatures, not fireworks. On paper, I kept most of what we built. She kept her car and her personal accounts and the debt tied to her choices. I sold the house. It felt like living in a museum of a dead life. A few months later, I took a job in Seattle and left Denver behind. Seattle was supposed to be a reset. New streets, new skyline, no ghosts in grocery aisles. I told people I was fine, but fine is what you say when you're still bleeding quietly and you don't want anyone to see where. Ryan came to Seattle about a year after everything ended. He hugged me at the airport, stepped back, and said what no one else had been brave enough to say. You look like a ghost. We ate burgers near my condo. I laughed where I was supposed to, nodded at the right stories, but he didn't fly out for small talk. After a while, he put his fork down and looked straight at me. You left her, he said, but you never left that hallway. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. I'd changed jobs, sold a house, moved states. Still, in my head, I was stuck 10 feet from my in-law's kitchen, holding a gift bag, hearing the future being planned without me. That night, after Ryan went back to his hotel, the dam finally broke. I got angry in a way I hadn't allowed myself to be. I threw a mug against the wall, watched it explode, and felt the sound shake something loose inside my chest. The next morning, I did what I'd been dodging since Denver. I found a therapist. In our first session, I told her the truth I'd been hiding behind polite smiles. I feel nothing. She didn't flinch. That shock. Numbness is how your brain kept you standing when your world collapsed. Week by week, I walked her through every part of it, Overseas work, that hallway, the evidence court the day I saw Maya and Adrian with their baby through a restaurant window. I kept trying to turn it into a math problem. What I did wrong, what I should have noticed sooner, how I might have prevented it. She kept pulling me back to one question. What did I make that mean about me? The answers hurt coming out. That I wasn't enough. That I was too safe. That if I'd been more exciting, she wouldn't have left. One day she stopped me. Her betrayal doesn't prove you were unlovable, she said. It proves she was willing to betray. That's about her character, not your worth. It didn't erase the pain, but it changed its shape. The anger stopped being a wildfire and became something I could look at without burning. I met Rachel Foster at a professional conference. We started with work talk and somehow drifted into the heavy stuff. She mentioned leaving an ex who kept choosing his drinking over their life. I mentioned my divorce and didn't feel my throat close. She didn't pity me or try to fix me. She just understood. Coffee the next day turned into more coffee, then walks through parks while she pointed out trees I never noticed, then long phone calls that made the nights feel less hollow. We were careful at first, two people with bruises comparing notes, but over time it became simple. Trust wasn't a switch. It was a slow rebuild. 3 years later, Rachel and I got married in a small ceremony by the water. No performance, just the people who mattered. When our son Daniel was born, I held him in the hospital and felt the old hallway flicker through my mind, then fade. That sentence that once meant ruin no longer owned me. This was a different world, built on honesty and exhaustion and joy. Years passed. Maya sent a letter through my lawyer. She apologized without excuses, wrote about her daughter Sophie, about therapy, about trying to be better. I read it, put it away, and didn't feel the old urge to reopen the war. Later she wrote again, asking if I hated her, because Sophie had started asking questions. I didn't. Not anymore. I wrote back that I'd moved on, that people can grow after doing horrible things, and that I was okay. One afternoon, Daniel found an old photo of my first wedding and asked who the woman was. I told him the truth in a way a kid could carry. I was married before, it didn't work, it hurt, and then life led me to his mom and to him. He nodded and went back to coloring like it was the most normal thing in the world. Standing there, I realized I wasn't living in that hallway anymore. It was part of my story, but it wasn't a room I slept in. I had a home now that didn't require me to pretend, and a future I wasn't afraid to walk toward. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.